Hi everybody, just wanted to get on here and talk to you guys why I'm having a long drive from my house to the city, and I thought maybe you guys might enjoy a little bit of what I experience. Even though it is the winter, it can be a beautiful ride, and hopefully just the view itself might cheer you up and might make you feel less trapped. If you are trapped in your home, if you can't really get out, and there's a lot of channels out there, and I recommend that you go to some of them. There's one, this guy built his own log cabin, and he doesn't talk, and he makes food, and it's just the most relaxing thing in the world. And there's another channel that I like to watch, and it's about this guy who has a fish tank of all things. And other people have just got, the channels have got it where they're, you know, walking through the snow or walking through a path, like Richie from Boston. He does those ones out in the wilderness, and we need to actually watch, if we're going to watch things, let's not watch the disaster watches, let's not watch the fear porn. Let's get close to God and soothe our souls, because that's what we need to do. Fear is feeding into the dragon. Let's not feed that beast anymore. He wants us to be fearful. We need to now ask for God's Holy Spirit to be joyful and we have a commission right now, each and every one of us. If you're listening to me, you have a commission. And you're set here to do something. So ask Him what that is, settle your soul, take a deep breath, and get on with your day. I'm taking provisions to my daughters right now, because in our stores there's really not much of lot left. I don't know what it's like for you guys. There's still a lot of stuff. I went the other day on Saturday to a small town here in Canada, what we call a small town. I don't even think would be on the radar of what you guys in the United States call, because I've been hearing people say, yeah, I live in a small town, it's only like 100,000. That's not a big city for us. My small town that I live in a little area where I've got 4 small towns like 12 miles away from me in every direction, and each one of them has no more than 3,000 or 4,000 people in it. So these are the small towns that I live in. So you actually get to know a fair bit of the people, or at least I've lived in this community for 20 years, so they're my family. You know, I have people that are closer to me that I just talk to at the gas station or picking up my mail than I do to my own family, unfortunately. But you know, you become a family with a small community, and I am blessed that I do have still an old-time community of people that are gracious and still believe in God. You know, there's a lot of still believing in God. There's a lot of Christians here, which is a blessing. Although I don't go to any church, but there's still people with the spark of God in them. Oh, that's amazing. Especially in this time. So yeah, what I'm gonna talk about though, watch this when we get over this peak here. We're gonna see the valley below. It's quite gorgeous. In the summertime, some of these roads are just spectacular with all the greenery, and you know, right now it's barren because it's still winter where I am. But we're warming, I think. Well, it's -5 today, so we're getting there. We're getting warmer and warmer and warmer. I know I'm just rambling, but I want to point you guys back to the videos. Not necessarily do you need to go back to them, but to the information that I gave you in those videos about viruses and chemtrails and 5G and stuff like that. So I kind of want to talk about that again. About simple remedies to viruses. And yes, my name is Karen, and yes, I have a whole bunch of essential oils. You know that those are just to ridicule so that we don't see truth. And there are some really truths in it. And it's not going to be the flu shot that's going to save you from any virus. It's going to be the natural things that God gave you. like frankincense and myrrh, which are antifungal and antibacterial, antipathogen, and you can find them at most, you know, grocery stores, most drugstores, essential oils, the ones where they go and, you know, for you put them in the diffusers so your house smells. You can use all of those medically too. It's not like they're putting anything in that makes them poison. But essential oils, by the time it gets down to an oil state, is very concentrated. So if you're using like frankincense, you're going to use like 4 drops in a teaspoon of sugar. And it's going to be the same process as you're going to use turpentine, because frankincense is turpentine. It's just a more refined turpentine. So if you're going to have and I'm talking about pure gum spirits of turpentine. I'm not talking about what you're getting in the hardware store. So don't get me wrong. That's a little bit different, and that will probably kill you. So please don't do that. But you probably can't get spear gums of turpentine right now because the government doesn't want you to have that. But what they have not stocked is frankincense. And frankincense is all over the place. And it's actually more pure. It's more concentrated. So 4 drops a day will get rid of any parasites. It will strengthen your immune system. And then there was a study that was done back in 2009 on oil of oregano. So if you can get a hold of oil of oregano, if you can't, you can go to the spice aisle and you can make teas out of these things. Like right now, when I didn't have my blood pressure medicine for a while and my blood pressure was going high, I made a tea out of, now I can't remember, it's like, tastes like licorice. Fennel, I'm sorry, yeah, and I buy a big bag of fennel from the grocery store in the spice aisle, and I just ground up my fennel in my coffee grounder, and I just made some beautiful tea that tasted so beautiful in it. And I took it a couple of times each day. I had a couple of teaspoons of the fennel like that, and my blood pressure went down. So I mean, natural remedies do work, and in this time we may be relying on our spice rack because you may not be able to find it anywhere else. So a lot of things that are in your spice rack can save your life from viruses and sicknesses. And you know, my mom always had a lot of this stuff in there because there was a time when this was a medicine cabinet, was those things that I'm talking about. So we've got fennel for your high blood pressure, just to let you know. So make sure you're not doing licorice, because licorice is different. So if you've got licorice and fennel, do not confuse the two. Licorice will raise your blood pressure, where fennel will drop your blood pressure. Okay, so don't go out and buy a box of or a bag of licorice, black licorice. That won't work for you. Okay, so we got that. We've got sage is the same thing. You can use sage as well. So if you don't, like I said, you can make teas out of these things, you know. If you've got I don't care whether you have a little tea diffuser, it doesn't matter. You can just put it in the bottom of your cup, sift it, you know, like it doesn't matter. You just sift it through a cloth if you don't have, or just drink it the way it is. It doesn't matter. But we really have a pharmacia in our cupboards right now. You don't have to actually panic. Go through what you have. You have things that will, like garlic works really well, but some of these other things work better. Keep, you know, really, that's another one if you can get, and people aren't thinking about this, so they're not going to the spice aisles of their store. They're still full. And I know one of the things that they have is these dried garlics. You can buy huge amounts of garlic that has been dried up, and it still has the same potency and everything in it as well. And that's nice because you can crush that up and put it on salads and do whatever you want with that. So that will help. And again, we know it's an antibacterial, antifungal. Nature is full of these things, okay? So I would say I'm not going to tell you to go buy and order anything, because don't go online. You're not going to get it. It's not going to come in time, and if it does, well, that's a miracle. But we need to rely on what we can get a hold of, what's in our grocery stores right now, which is cheap, and your spice rack is cheap. You may have everything you need right now. So orange oil is another one that's really, really good for cleaning and stuff like that. So if you go to Home Depot, sells orange oil by a 2-liter for like $15 or something like that. And again, because it's citrus and it's natural, it does clean. It's a good cleaner. So if you're thinking about a good cleaner that isn't, because everything, all the Lysol's out, all the poisonous stuff that they want you to spray all over your house is gone. Personally, I'm not using any of those products because those in themselves are not necessarily safe. Okay, but use them. I mean, like, if that's what you have, use them. But there are other things that you can use that are just as well, that are in your spice rack or in your cupboard already. So I'm pretty sure that if you go to Home Depot and you go for that, I bet you that a lot of people have been thinking about the places like that for disinfectants and stuff, because Home Depot does have a huge selection of disinfectants. So I don't know, I haven't been there, but chances are people are going to ignore the orange oil, and it's very good, and it does kill germs, and it does do what it says it's going to do. But I think that the biggest armor that you have in your medicine cabinet is prayer. Because if you and to have a joyful heart, because sickness can come by sorrow, just alone, by anxiety, and that's what Satan wants us to be. He wants us to be anxious and sad and frustrated and confused and having all of those negative feelings, and that will make us vulnerable. So I'm going to recommend that you guys put on worship music, put on joyful music. Stay away from listening to all, watch a little bit. I know I've said this over and over again. But yes, we know these things are coming upon the earth. I don't need to dwell on it anymore. I don't need to point out to you what's happening. The whole world knows something's upside down. We don't need to, I don't believe at this point anymore that we need to be even talking to people about 5G or any of that anymore, because we've gotten to the point where there's nothing to stop. We can't stop what's happening. It's all coming. But what will keep us strong is prayer, and not focusing on that, and focusing on things that are joyful. And it's hard, but reminds me of Nelson Mandela. I don't know if you know who he is. Well, I think a lot of the people who are listening to me are older, so you know who Nelson Mandela was. Well, and I'm probably gonna ruin this because I'm just going off. I'm driving, so I don't know all the facts, but I don't remember them all. But he was in prison for many years in solitary confinement, and he came out to be this amazing leader that was just wanted to spread, kind of. I'm not sure if he was Christian or not, but what he did when he was in prison is he actually spent most of his time in prison in prayer. And he came out a joyful, happy person out of prison. And if you can do that when you're in solitary confinement and you can find joy, we can in our homes with all the technology that we have and all of the toys that we have to keep us busy. But sometimes those toys that we have to keep us busy keep us anxious. So remember that. You can see that my camera's kind of going out of focus there. Remember that I recommend board games. If you've got that, turn off, get your tablets out of your kids' hands. Just get it out of your kids' hands. They don't need that. Put a board game in front of them. Get them cutting things and pasting things and making things, and coloring things. Get them to use their hands and their minds and their creativity, not what a game is telling them that they should think and how they should be programmed. Because all of those games that we're seeing, all of that stuff is all from Satan. It's all his stuff. It's all the angel technology is what it is. You know, it's scrawling mirrors is that we're putting in front of our kids. Mirror, mirror on the wall, you know, asking for knowledge. I don't know about you, but I don't think anybody truly knows how we get this technology. So I'm going to say use your technology for good. Use it. Because, you know, God will take anything that Satan has done or anything that he has put in place, and he's going to use it against him. He's going to bring you the best blessings from whatever it is. But it is also his tool, Satan's tool. So we want to limit what we are, even on YouTube, because YouTube is starting to put commercials in front of everything, and they're usually very disturbing commercials. You know, and I went through my daughter. I don't have a Netflix account, but my daughter gave me her Netflix ID. Here in Canada, you can have like up to 3 people share your Netflix. It's not illegal. They allow you to do that. There's different. I don't know what it is for you guys, but if it's just for you, it's like $9.99. If you can get 2, so 2 people can share it, it's $12.99. 3 people can share it, I think it's $15.99. And she has it where 2 people, so I'm sharing it with her. So I can't find anything that I'm willing to watch, to be honest, on Netflix. I just can't. I'll spend like 15 minutes on it looking. And what am I seeing? Everything about demons, everything about witches, everything about pandemics, everything about disasters, and the world is blowing up. And just look at every show, even the shows that I used to enjoy, like Grey's Anatomy. I can't watch them anymore because all they are is ramping you up to the next disaster, ramping you up to the next disaster, ramping you up, like always trying to keep you in anxiety, bringing you up and bringing you down, bringing you up, bringing you down. That's all these shows are. So my daughter is really great. She doesn't like a lot of that stuff, never has. She watches Little House on the Prairie and, you know, some of these older shows, and I went to that and watching stuff like that. If I have to sit in front of the TV, it's going to be something, you know, it has to be something from a time gone by, because this nothing that they put out today is going to spiritually enhance you or make you feel good. Very little. So limit that if you're still doing that. And I am tempted to get rid of my Facebook because, oh, we're coming up to another. I may want to be quiet here because this is beautiful, what we're coming up to. I know I can talk. I can go on and on. I have a real problem with that. But it's good for videos. Here we go. We're coming up to it. In the summertime, it takes my breath away. I don't know how well the phone is picking up this, but it is beautiful. And soon, just soon, hopefully, we start to get a bloom. This will melt, hopefully. And we'll start to get green here again, and the water in the little river that flows down here will start to flow again. Pretty amazing, God's earth. Like I said, I'm gonna just talk and let you see what it's like where I live. Although if you've been watching me for a while, you've been seeing this. But that's okay. The sky is almost blue. They've got a real cloud going around, a real haze. This is another thing, okay. Sit in windows that have sun if you have to be in your house and you're not allowed to go. Because sun kills all viruses. It penetrates through your sinuses, it penetrates your skin, and it kills. That's why we don't have flus and epidemics in the summertime. You know, you get people that have allergies, but you usually do not get epidemics. They're always in the fall, they're wet seasons, but the sun is a natural purifier. So even with the clouded over like this and everything, it's still gonna do some good. So if you can get out, and with me it's a little harder, so I do sit in a sunny window, and I do get a lot of sun in that window. And I read, or I just lie there and, you know, enjoy it and suck it up, because it makes you joyful too. It's like having a glass of orange juice. It gives you a boost. It really does. It gives you an immune boost. It physically makes you feel better, and spiritually it lifts you up. Darkness is Satan's, you know, covering up the light, because that's what God is. He's, you know, he brought the light to everything, and Satan is going to be bound up in darkness, and that's what he is. He's darkness. So enjoy the sun and the light, and of course that Jesus is the light of the world, right? Well, I'm just preaching again. I was listening to Miss Celeste. I didn't get a chance to listen to the whole thing, but please go over to her channel. She's going to lift your spirits, and that's what we need. We don't need to be listening to doom and gloom. We need our spirits lifted. We need to praise God. We need to have a joyful heart. We are saved in the blood of the Lamb. We are protected in the blood of the Lamb, and miracles are real. And they're happening starting in my life, and let's pray. Let's all pray for those blessings and those miracles, like Pentecost that happened, where they had the fire that came down and they started performing miracles of raising the dead and curing the sick and feeding the poor, and they even transported from one place to the other. They you know, angels came and took them out and moved them from one place to the other. I read one book, Joseph, was it Joseph of No, it was just Joseph, where he was teleported from the prison to Jerusalem, which was like 200 miles away, and the emperor got word of it, and it was like another miracle, and we're going to have all of those kind of miracles, and I think we are seeing them right now in places like Africa, and because those people are leaning on faith. They're totally giving into God, giving into faith, and they are doing those miracles. So with all of this right now, it's going to make us lean, and we're going to start believing more, and then the miracles will come. Well, I'm going to let you go because it will take forever to download this. So the longer that I have it go, you know, I have a hard time downloading things these days. There's a lot of restrictions on my account. I love you all. Stay strong in your faith.